Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Expert to Authority show. Today I'm here with the one and only Michelle Raymond because we're going to talk about diversity in the corporate supply chain. How can diverse businesses get corporate contracts? We're going to talk about some shocking stats been about the state of the industry, in particular for diverse businesses that want to go and build a relationship and get corporate contracts. We're going to talk about some of the main challenges, but also what's the easiest way. And the reason why we're talking about this is because Michelle is running an event called the Diverse Business Summit on the 15th of November in London. I'm going to be there as a speaker, and this is the place to be to connect with corporate buyers, where diverse businesses can connect with corporate buyers and a unique place. In fact, I would love to start from there, Michelle. What inspired you to create the Diverse Business Summit?
I'll tell you what inspired me. I would say partly because of my mum and partly because I saw there was people less qualified than myself doing bits. And I just thought, probably I should be doing something, right? So my mum I said to my mum, I wanted to go to this event, and the event itself was around £350. And I said, oh, should I go to this event? And she said, no, save your money, and why don't you build your own tent and let people come to you? And she said, you have so much to offer, and you've got such great connections, and you can put a meeting of minds together. And yeah, and so that is what really spearheaded me to put this event together and to utilize some of the knowledge and experience I have and help other people raise their visibility, definitely.
What's your background in terms of getting corporate contracts? Because that's something that you've been doing for a while.
So my background is actually in HR. So I've been working in HR now for more than 25 years. I know I look only 30. I know this already.
We don't need
But
to
for
say anything more about that. 30, that's it.
so for 25 years, I've been doing HR, and I've been doing HR within the corporate industry. And then I moved from there to do it as a self-employed business owner. And then I saw that there was a gap between people that looked like me, women, small business owners who were securing some of these contracts. And I thought, this is not right. And then I started to look into it, and yeah, and the rest is history, really.
And the rest is history. I'm curious as well in terms of because if you can just give us a bit more information about what happened the first year at the Diverse Business Summit, because you had a unique vision, which is to
Yeah.
connect corporate buyers with diverse business suppliers, and that's what I found is incredibly unique about the event. It's not just a place to learn information, but actually to really have these connections. What inspired you to create the event in that way?
Because when I've been to so many events, and you're absolutely right. There's so many events to pick and choose from, but there was not any that would help entrepreneurs move away or expand from B2C to go to B2B. So we're very good at selling to each other, but I found that we need to get at least 20 B2C clients to get the same value in terms of income than get working with a corporate. And you probably just need one corporate who can equal 20 B2C clients. So I thought, let's leverage our time a little bit better. So if I was to organize a conference that brought the corporates in the room, and they would share what how they work with suppliers. They have like ESG targets, which stands for environmental, social, and governmental. So they have ESG targets that they have to reach, which means they have to work more sustainably. They have to prove to the government that they are working with more diverse suppliers. And when I'm talking about diverse, I'm talking about women business owners, small business owners, black or brown business owners, LGBTQ plus, veterans. All of them become under, there is actually a category, a governmental category, which diverse suppliers come under. And definitely in America, it's huge in America, where they now have a mandate. They have to show that a particular amount of their spend is spent with diverse business owners. In the UK, we're a bit slower on the uptake, but I can see that there's definitely a trend now. And plus, the government, and I don't know when it's coming into force, but there's going to be a new act called the Procurement Act, and where the government, UK businesses have to show that their spend is used with diverse suppliers. So I'm just jumping on the trend very early over
Yeah,
here.
that's absolutely the right time, and definitely what's incredibly unique about the event. And in fact, if anyone that is listening right now, make sure you check it out and get your ticket. Is thediversebusinesssummit.com. You can see also the link in the show notes, and there is a special offer right now if you get it from this particular podcast. I love to start talking about some of the statistics
Mm,
because I remember last year attending the event and learning some statistics about actually how many diverse businesses are
mm,
serving in a supply chain. And I
mhm.
remember when I heard it, I was shocked. So
Yeah.
can you
Less
expand a
than
bit more on that, please?
Yeah, less than 3% of suppliers are diverse owned. So now you've got like companies like Meta, companies like CBRE, who they have a lot of spend, billions. And most of it is obviously spent with large organizations that have been going for years and years and years. But there are also smaller organizations who can do the job just as well. They give that personal touch. They're flexible. They're innovative. They can make changes to their supplies very quicker than the larger, more robust, and almost I would say bureaucratic organizations. So because of that, my thing is I need to fix it. So my background it was in HR, but also in diversity and inclusion. What I've only done is just expanded that to supplier diversity. So getting people like us in front of these corporate organizations and say, hey, here I am. This is what I can do. This is how well I can serve you. This is the results I've got. This is my credibility. And so they can now have a more diverse option. So rather than just going to one brand the same way and the same time, they can now look and go to other people. They have better options.
Why do they tend to stick with one brand? If you think about from the corporate side, like why do they tend to stick with and not expand? Because if you think about society in which we are right now, it's not that the
Mm,
conversation around diversity, inclusion is not happening. There are big campaigns, it's told everywhere, there are initiatives to open more doors, and still is not reflecting in the actual number of
mm.
the diversity in the supply chain. So why is not changed yet?
Do you know what it is? I think most of these organizations are anti risk. So they want to work with a known entity that they know they'll get the job done. When I've interviewed some of these corporates, they've actually said to me the reason why they're always hesitant or reluctant to work with new suppliers or small suppliers is A, do they have the scale and gravitas to handle what we need? So that's the first thing. They also say, can they get the job done? Can they actually do what they say they can do? And that is a big risk for these organizations because if you're part of the supply chain, they have a customer and they go to you to build a service, to bring in a service for their customer. Now, if you can't deliver on this, then they look bad to their customer. It's customer reputation and all the branding and the PR that goes around that damage limitation really. So these are some of the reasons why they don't want to explore or they're reluctant to explore new ways of working or new suppliers. And that's why my job is to make sure that when I'm bringing in these suppliers in front of corporates, that I've done my due diligence, that I've looked at the company, I can see that they've done similar work with other companies or with employees or with consumers, that there's a track record, that their accounts are up to date, that they have testimonials. All of these things help make the company feel at ease. Like, okay, let's put a bit of spend this way. Let's see. how they act. Let's see their competence. Let's see how they behave. And they've all, and like I remember I was speaking to one brand and they said, um, will we like you? That's a really big thing. Will we like you? You know, they want to work with people that they know, like, and trust. Definitely.
I remember having a conversation with Lavelda on this, and when she was working in corporate sales, and she was working for a relatively small tech company in the healthcare space. They provided software in the healthcare space, and their sales director always often said, "No one ever got fired for hiring IBM."
Mm,
Which then meant, even if IBM had worse solutions, they had higher prices. Their customer support might not have not been great, but is the safe option.
so,
Because the backlash of trying something new or trying something different and not going well, the ripple effect and the
mhm.
negative effect of that backlash for a large organization is huge. Now we're talking
Yes.
about millions spending, as you mentioned, in just damage reputation in the PR campaigns to manage that reputation. Then we are talking about people getting fired, multi-million pound projects just going
Mhm.
up in smoke. So it's also understandable from their side why they're not opening doors so easily. So, but
Yes.
on the other side, I would love to know from a diverse supplier perspective, what are their difficulties to be seen and known and trusted from these entities? Because on one side, we could also say, well, I can deliver my job, I can do this, I've got all the box that I can check all the boxes. So, what are some of the challenges or some of the things that diverse businesses can do or they don't have in place to uh, get considered?
Mm. I would say the main thing is confidence, knowing that you can do it and you can do it with larger organizations. So confidence is a big thing, that belief that can I actually do it? I always say, like my mum always says, be careful what you pray for because you might just get it. A lot of people say, oh, I want to make the six figures, I want to make the seven figures, I want to work with this brand, that brand. And when the opportunity presents itself, then they retreat and they're like, oh my God, I can't do it. And because of that limiting belief, they will manage to get a meeting in the diary, but they don't have the proposal ready. When they will say, "Oh, I'll send something to you in the next 2 days," they send it in 3 days. Those kind of things don't put us in a good position. But yet, this is what you've always wanted. You wanted to work with these corporates, but yet you're not ready. Your brand or how you appear online is not it's not parity to what your the prices of your services. So you want to charge these inflated prices because your coach told you to do so, but yet your brand doesn't look like it. You're messy. You're late. All of these things. It doesn't give the spirit of excellence, but yet you want to charge these premium prices. So we just need to get ourselves together, and not having an accountant. How many small companies do not have an accountant? They're still using Excel to run their businesses. It's things like that where we have to up level. We need to get some systems in place so some of your work can be automated. And one of the things that companies always say to me that they're worried about, that they're just speaking to a one man band person. You have to present yourself as you're working in a team. So even though you do not have like a team on your payroll that you're paying, you might have associates, you might have other consultants, other advisors that you can reach out to in quick time. And that's how you present yourself, as a we package rather than an I package. Because no company wants to work with somebody and that person gets sick or something happens to them. And then what happens to the supply? What happens to the product? What happens to their service? So it's these kind of things that we need to work on and make sure we have the right policies in place, the right procedures, and that's what we help with. All of that to have
And
you to prepare you.
and I guess that if you don't have a corporate background, you don't even know these things.
Yeah.
But it also makes sense. Like if I'm investing, if I'm a corporate organization, I'm investing a significant amount of money, time, energy, resources on a project, and I'm trusting you with the project, and I have the budget. Corporate budgets are Ferrari type budgets, and then you're presenting like a Fiat Punto. uh, your website is not there, right? Like an old Fiat Punto, not even a new one. Your website is not there. Your social media are not there. I cannot even. You can see like a half done ebook on a page on the website. It doesn't position for the work that you can do for us. All these things. Then you wonder why they're not looking at you, because there is too much disconnect between what they are expecting and what you are providing at face value. Is that what I'm hearing you saying?
Yeah, exactly. And we've got to also remember what are their needs. And I think the biggest thing with us entrepreneurs, we're very much, we've been brought up to be self-centered, selfish. I'm just using the negative connotations of what most coaches will say, value yourself, know your worth. But you're only as good as people are willing to pay for you. Let's
Right.
keep it real. You're only as good as people are willing to pay for you. So you can be sitting doing your mantras and your meditation all day and all night. But if your website is half done, if your LinkedIn profile doesn't even have a picture of you, it's got a picture of you in your selfie and all that, no one's going to pay for that. And an executive, a chief executive, a COO, a head of department, their biggest problem is that they are time starved. That's their biggest problem. And they are willing to pay over the odds for someone to come in and fix something for them because they don't have the time to do it. So if they have issues around well-being and their staff are going off sick and they're stressed every 5 minutes, can I bring someone in to solve this for me quickly? If they have like team dynamic issues, you've got people of different cultures and there's culture clashes. Can I get somebody who can come in and sort out this and sort out our values and sort out the productivity, because they're time poor and they don't have the time to do it, or they don't have the internal expertise for it. So that's when they go outside looking. And what they do, the chief executive, they don't look. They don't go on social media looking for someone to come in. But what they do, they ask their office managers, their operations directors, their heads off, find me somebody who can resolve this issue so that we can run our business and make money. That's all they're interested. So because they don't have the internal capacity, they don't have somebody, and to get somebody in and to train them up and to onboard them and all of that, and pay them a 35 or 45K salary on top of all the other cost, it's easier for them to bring someone else in and just pay the 50K, get that over and done with, done and dusted, put them on their preferred suppliers list. If this happens again, we can bring them in, or what else can you do? So these operations managers, then they'll go onto LinkedIn. Let me find somebody. They'll use certain keywords, and they don't use the keywords that we are told by our coaches. Those inflated titles, those verbose titles. They're just looking for someone who can help with productivity, someone who can help with team dynamics. Really simple
So
stuff.
not the productivity alchemist. No,
No,
they will not look for.
all of that. They're not looking for that. They are not looking for that. And so we as entrepreneurs have to think, like, how do corporates who are time starved, how do they think? How do they operate? How do they search for people like me?
Yeah, that's gold. That's absolutely gold. So going about that, how do they search? What's the easiest way for diverse businesses to get noticed by the corporate buyers? And I know that you talk a lot about proximity. So if we can expand on that topic, that would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, so I talk a lot about proximity is power, because the very first thing they will do is they will probably ring, text, email someone they know and ask, do you know anyone who could do this? That's the first port of call, because it puts them at ease that if I'm an operations manager, if another operations manager from another company has used this health and wellness coach or consultant, then they must be good. So that's the first thing. So once again, it's proximity. And then after that, if they don't get anywhere with someone that they know, they'll probably go onto LinkedIn, or they go into Google. They'll go into Google or LinkedIn and they'll just type who's coming up. If I type up health and wellness expert or productivity coach or leadership coach, who's coming up? That's what, and then they'll do their due diligence and see where they've worked before, who they're taught, who's on their list, and then they have a look at And another thing they will do is if they're looking at that person on LinkedIn, there's like a list of people, other people you should look at who's similar to that. You know, you either want to come up there or you want to come up there.
Right.
That's once again, it's that proximity because they feel safe in people who are similar to each other. So I always say is to make sure that you are visible in the right places, definitely on LinkedIn, definitely just on Google. There should be podcasts, there should be blogs, there should be books, something that you've done that's imprinted so it's easy for them to find. And you want to make sure that your connections are not just centered around people who look like you, who speak like you, who act like you. You need to expand your network so that you are invited to the rooms where these corporates are in. You are invited to conferences where that they partake. You're invited to like restaurant openings or golf tournaments, these types of things that you're privileged because you know a certain person who knows somebody else and they can invite you and bring your name in the rooms. That's what we need to be doing. What happens is coaches, consultants, speakers and trainers only go to events with coaches, consultants, speakers and trainers go.
Correct.
That's it.
That's you know what, and I mean that's my field as well because all my clients are speakers, coaches, trainers, consultants, and when we work together, one of the things that we look at is okay, what's your network like? Do you have a network of ideal clients, or do you just have a network of peers?
Mm-hmm.
And the majority of them, if I'm saying, oh, I've got like 5,000 LinkedIn connection, yeah, 4,000 are other coaches. They're not your target audience. So you are basically posting on LinkedIn and no one relevant is
Mm-hmm.
actually seeing what you want to do. Maybe you want to access a corporate. Maybe you want to work with a small business. Maybe you don't even work with coaches and you work with, I don't know, people that are employed and they work as managers. Are you
Yeah,
connected to managers? No. So there is a lot of truth in what you're saying in terms of people just staying in their industry bubble because it feels safe, because it's where everyone else goes.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I always say that your network should be horizontal and should be vertical. So you should go to events and be seen at events where your peers are, but you also need to be at events where you may be the only one. So I, for example, my background is HR and leadership, but I will go to an accountancy summit or an accountancy conference. Why? Because I'm probably going to be the only one in HR or in leadership there because everyone there will be accountants. But I know that actually, if I reach out to an accountant and we can connect, I can access their resources or their contacts, they can access mine. So now I'm going outside of the bubble. So these are the things that I tend to do. And then I will might go to um, an AI summit, or I might just go to, and I go to lots of law conferences or mock what they call mock tribunals. I do that. So I'm not really active in HR as I was before, but I will still go to these things. I'm still on their mailing list because that's where I'm going to find my new client because I'll be the only one. And then that makes me special. Now they want to speak to me. Tell me more. What are you working on? Because I'm the only one there who's doing that.
Because
So
I've already told to about 50 other accountants. So, what are you
correct.
doing? I'm an accountant. What are you doing? I'm an accountant. What are you doing? An accountant. What are you doing? HR. Oh, interesting. It's like, oh, oh my God.
Exactly. Exactly.
No, I love it. So I think we explored everything here. The main message is proximity is power, and that's why there is no closer proximity than the Diverse Business Summit. That's where the first point of contact happens. And what I loved, as I mentioned about Nastia, I'm a huge fan. I'm really happy that I'm going to deliver a presentation also part this year. What I really loved is this space where the first point of contact can happen because most of the time, if I'm thinking about if I ask someone, it's like, who do you need to contact? I know Lloyd's was one of the sponsors last year, right? Who do you need to contact at Lloyd's to get in?
Yes.
Majority of people will have no clue even who to search for, what their job title is, what their agenda is, and so on. So having them in the room saying, this is me, this is my email, this is what we are looking for. This is we are gonna consider you if you provide X, Y, and Z. We are not going to consider if you don't provide X, Y, and Z. So you got time to work on it. That's absolutely gold.
That is gold. And let me tell you, you're talking, and I just remembered something. Do you know that it's easier when people always ask me, how do I find these corporates? Where do I find them? And I said, yeah, you can find them online and you can find them in magazines and podcasts, but nothing gets you closer than when you meet them face to face. Why? Because I feel like there's almost this energy of, let me give because you're in front of me. So, whereas if you had emailed somebody or if you'd connected with them on LinkedIn, they're not going to give you their email address. They're not going to tell you much. But when you're in front of them, once again, it's that proximity. When you're close to them, you get to speak about what you do. They share what they're doing and everything. And then there might be some synergies there. And then you might say, actually, so I would love to continue this conversation. I would love to find out, or if you're not the right person, I would love for you to introduce me to the right person. Can I get your email address? There you go. And they give you their email address. You don't need to go on hunter.io or Rocket Reach or wherever and get the wrong email address. They give it to you there directly. And that's why I will never forget I think she's the global head of procurement for Meta. When she was there last year, she said, she was coming out the toilet and she said to me, oh, Michelle, have you checked your emails? And I said, no. And then she goes, I want you to check your emails. And would you believe she sent me an email and she said, I am sitting at your conference now, and it's probably one of the best conferences I've been all year. And she goes, why? Because I get to speak to these entrepreneurs face to face. That's exactly what she said. She said, I'm sitting here and I'm loving all of this. And because of that, on Monday, I want to go into work and I want to review our sponsorship strategy because I want to support you next year. Now, I had asked her about sponsoring previously. She had said no. But because I got her in the room to experience it for herself, she actually wrote an email while she was there. I have people that came to the event, and on the back of it, less than 6 months later, because I did a 6 month survey, they've had speaking engagements with some of the people in the room. They have had hosting engagements. Somebody is doing health and wellness in one of the companies that attended. So these are the results that they got less than 6 months. And I think that's partly because we did a pre-event session and a post-event session. So not only did we prepare them for the event that was about to take place, we want to then hold them accountable post-event to make sure that they are following up with what they've said, that they're going to, do what they said they were going to do. And I think that made the difference.
Yeah, and that's what, as I mentioned, is incredibly unique about this particular event, because there is not just the thought about who do we have in the room, but how do we prepare people to make the most of the opportunity in the room from before the event and then after the event. And that's something that many event organizers don't think about, because let's be honest, organizing one event is already enough work. So you don't need to organize other two events, like a pre and a post one, right? But it makes the world of a difference. Is there any particular thing, if you're looking at this year, this year's event, that you're really incredibly excited about, or something new that you're bringing? Just tease us.
I've got something, and I've pitched it to a number of corporates, and they're excited about it. So I'm still working on the name, but it's called. It's going to be something around the procurement challenge. So everybody's going to be sitting on tables of 8 to 10, and I'll divide the room, and I'm giving each half of the room a question. And it's going to be basically a challenge that most of these companies face. And I want us as entrepreneurs to come up with a solution per table and then present the solution to the corporates. And the corporates have said, depending on how good the solution is, they will implement and then they'll be able to feedback. And this is such a perfect way to show corporates that we are just as good as some of these bigger organizations by coming up with really great solutions to some of their most pressing challenges. So that's going to be good. And they're going to sit on a panel and they're going to judge which one of these solutions they can realistically. So on the judging panel, I've already got Heinz baked beans. I've got Accenture, Ernst and Young, and I'm working on Tesco's.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait to be there, Michelle. I mean, the last year was top notch. I'm sure that this year is gonna be even better. So, cannot wait to be there. So, if someone wants to get the ticket, tell a bit more about the discounts they're going to have and also where they can get it. Give us all the info.
So you can get your tickets from the diversebusinesssummit.com. And anybody that listens to this podcast or is a part of Simone's network, I want to give them 15% discount because I really want you in the room to experience this for yourself and to also collaborate with other entrepreneurs who's going to be in the room as well. And you can get that 15% off either the standard ticket or the VIP ticket. And the VIP, there's lots of benefits in the VIP. Once you go on the website, you'll be able to see that. But yeah, that's what I want to offer to anyone listening to this and your entire network.
We should have talked about this before. Do we have a coupon code, right? That we
Yes,
can put at checkout. Okay, so coupon code GTEX, GTEX, and that's where you can get your 15% off. So GTEX, you can copy and paste it from the show notes. When you're going to get your ticket, make sure you get it because there is no place like that to connect or directly with the corporate buyers. There was something actually we should have mentioned at the beginning when we are talking about diversity. That's something we wanted to qualify at the beginning actually. When talking about diversity, what does it mean? Like what is included, what is categorized as diverse business for this particular summit?
Yes, so for this particular summit, diversity is looking at small business owners, ethnic minority owned business owners, female business owners, and yes, those are the categories. So if you're a small business owner, if you're a female business owner, if you're an ethnic minority business owner, that's what we're covering. But the government supplier diversity mandate is wider. That also covers disabled owned business owners, LGBTQ plus, and veterans.
All right, so make sure if you are belonging to these categories, then get your ticket because that's where you can have the most relevant conversation that probably you will have the entire year. And if you play it well and you connect with the right people while you're there, then you're going to make a huge strides in your business. So thediversebusinesssummit.com. Michelle, it's always a pleasure having you as a guest here on the show, and I cannot wait for the Diverse Business Summit.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thanks very much for watching, listening. Make sure you get your ticket. Coupon code is GTEX at thediversebusinesssummit.com. Also, leave us a review about this show, about this episode. Let us know what light bulbs moment you had. And I cannot wait to see you next time. And always remember, together we grow exponentially. Ciao.